Okay, folks, good morning. Happy Gaslands morning. Okay. So last time we left off, we had primed. Let's move this over here. We had primed several templates, several weapons templates. I got to remember they're considered weapons, even though it might be smoke or caltrops. Well, mines do sound like weapons, but smoke doesn't sound like a weapon. Oil doesn't sound like a weapon. But according to the game, it is. And I got these 3D printed from Creepy Hero Studios. I believe that's who it is. Yeah, Creepy Hero Studios. So you got caltrops, mines, caltrops, a different caltrop thing that's from the same guy, and these we'll have to put on something else. But these are already like built in onto the thing. Another caltrops, another mine, another caltrops. So it's 4 of those, and I think it's 4 of each. Let's see here. Mines, a blank. I'm not going to worry about the blanks at this point. The blanks, I got them to see if they even is something that I would want to get them and then put this on it. Although I could just as easily cut something that's just thin plastic and, to the shape of this and then put this on it. I just mainly got like 1 pack of these things to see if I like them. The flames, the napalm, and what else do we have here? A smoke, a big smoke this should look pretty good. These I didn't bother priming them yet. Now that I think about it, I'm like, oh, this is smoke. I'm like, no, it's actually, this would probably be better as flames, because I believe this is the template size for the flamethrower. I thought this was oil, but we can paint this up like flames, and this is the flamethrower device. Not focusing on that. I only have 1 vehicle that has a flamethrower of like 40 so far. So there'll be more to do. So right now, I don't have all of my things here. My cars and stuff aren't here. They're over at Casa de Mitch. One of our friends is up, and we are having a bit of a Gaslands weekend. And I went over there after work, and it was like getting close to midnight. And I'm like, can we like pick this up tomorrow? Which I was going to pick it up tomorrow anyways, because it's like really late, which explains why, I woke up after 7. That's like very late for me. I'm usually, if I'm not up at 5, something's wrong. Well, I'm up at like 7:15. I actually slept through my alarms. I don't even change my alarm. That tells you how tired I was. I was really, really tired. So we're off to a little bit of a later start, but I guess it was for a good cause. So what we need to do is we need to paint these particular items and take them with us, because we're like using pieces of paper and stuff like that. One of the guys was like dropping napalm everywhere he went. Now, not too worried about this one. Now, this is pokey as hell. I may try to make my own template and use it for napalm, but I definitely want to paint these because nobody's dropped any caltrops yet, but definitely there's some mines out there. And I actually had one car that had to drive through two things of napalm and survived for now, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, so the main thing we got to decide is what color I'm going to make the ground. And that's the tricky thing. That's the one thing I don't really like about this, is because without a doubt, I would say, okay, well, I want to make the ground the color that I do most of my weathering in, which is the chocolate brown, U.S. field drab, and Iraqi sand mix. That's pretty much what I use for my weathering. It works for everything else. However, I'm playing on like a factory looking floor. That's what my mat is. And it's gray. But I think I'm still going to do it dirt, because You know, I don't want to do a gray floor. So let's start off with chocolate brown. We're going to use Vallejo, and we're probably going to get messy. Don't get excited. And we're going to give these guys a base coat of this, and we're going to dry brush it so that we leave maybe some black around these landmines. I don't know exactly how it's going to work. I think the mine color, I'm probably going to do something like slightly green, like the German field drab. That's like a gray green. I think that will probably work okay, but we're not going to decide that until we get the groundwork in. It needs to pop a little bit. All right, so we're going to put some chocolate brown. And then if we like it, then we'll do the base color of this around here and then paint the smoke. Because this is going to look shitty or it's going to be awesome. I don't think there's going to be any middle ground on it. All right, so yep. I use one of these, it's fine. A used napkin. Now, we didn't finish one game. It's actually the slowest playing game of Gaslands we've ever had. And that's because we didn't try and ram everybody before we got to the first gate. I know we're not filming it. Probably the next time we play Gaslands, probably film it. But this is kind of an intro session for a new player. Now, Mitch and I have played every time that we've played. And it's just an intro for a new player. Not a person that doesn't know how to game, but just somebody who's never played Gaslands before. Very weird waking up and the lights and the lights are on already. Very weird to wake up and it's light out. I've been getting up at the wee hours of either 5 o'clock. I used to get up at 4 for a decade. No, I'm sorry, 2 decades. 2 decades, for sure. So while this is drying, which this first coat could take some time drying, we're going to that's when we'll work on the napalm. I'm gonna try and make one. Of course, I haven't watched any videos on somebody making them, but we're gonna try to use hot glue because that makes sense. Now, this one that I did buy 3D printed looks great, but it's pokey as hell, which has 2 problems. You pick it up and it's punishing, and also because it has sharp edges when you pick it up, the sharper the edge, the more likely that the paint will come off when you paint it. Now, the one thing I really dislike about fire is fire is counterintuitive. Fire is counterintuitive. And what I mean by that is, normally the way you would paint something is You know, if you painted something that had like a surface texture, like this, and it wasn't fire, let's say this was like stalactites, right? The way I would paint it is, you know, I would paint it, you know, it's black, so it's the most in the shadows. And then we dry brush a lighter color. And then we dry brush a lighter color than that. And then we dry brush a lighter color than that. And then we give a final dusting, right? But you can't do that with fire because the lighter color of fire is in the bottom. So in other words, the closer the flame, the hotter the flame is, so the more to the center of the flame you are, the lighter it is. So it's backwards. Good morning, Justin. Finishing up your Blood Bowl necromantic horror team. Wow, you could bring your characters up from the dead. That guy got injured. Oh man, he's out for the game. I'll say, no, that's when he's getting good. And then when they kill the guy, it's even better. You bring back him, you know, dead man +1. I don't know how that works, but I didn't know they had necromancer teams for Blood Bowl. I thought it was just like ogres and orcs and... Did they use goblins as footballs? I could just picture that. I don't know anything about Blood Bowl, but I can just see like you have like an ogre that ends up picking one of the players and uses them as a football and throwing them. And then here's the other thing. Blood Bowl is Games Workshop. Games Workshop is British. British is not American football. So is it rugby? Or is it some make-believe sport that's rugby American football-ish? I don't know, you didn't think I was going to have all kinds of questions. Never really thought about Blood Bowl. Again, like I said earlier, I've never heard anybody say anything bad about it. Everybody seems to have warm regards for that game, so they must be doing something right. Every time people say Blood Bowl, though, I think of this old video game that we had in the late 80s, maybe early 90s, that I don't remember what it was called. Blitz something? I want to say it was called something Blitz. And you basically are playing a bunch of robots that are like trying to, you know, you put in a quarter and you get 4 downs to try to move the football or something like that. And if not, your little robots blow up. I remember it being a relatively popular game, whatever the hell it was called. You know, and on the 4th down, if you didn't make it, the football would actually detonate and blow all your players up. I don't know what it's called. It was a pretty relatively popular game at the arcade. You have a Snot League team with 2 war wagons. I guess we can have vehicles in Blood Bowl. War wagon. I take it it's not horse-drawn. You'd want something like a Zamboni or something like that with like a really... Man, what's that thing? I could never remember what the hell that thing is called. You know, the thing that has the roller on the front that's heavy, that squishes down the roadbed. You know, the asphalt crews use. A roller, that's what it should be called. But I don't think it's called that. I think it's called something else. So yeah, Marty came up. He brought more cars, like I need that. But he had some interesting ones. He had a lot of construction vehicles. And without missing a beat, I'm like, okay, well, there's a crew right there. You know, hard hat hooligans. Or hoonigans, depending on how you want to, which variation you want to do. Bit of both. No field goal conversion, just tries and touchdowns. Steamroller. Okay. Why is it called steamroller? Is it because when a long time ago they were steam powered? I mean, the thing is, if I remember correctly, it's full of water, but it's not hot water. I think. To add weight. Yeah, you're right. Steamroller makes sense. You've been steamrolled. That's a great weapon, except you got to put it on a vehicle that actually like moves. Like, something that like moves really slow, like, oh no, here we go, get out of the way. Pretend you're a cripple and can't move. Has a spike roller on the front. Okay. All right. This is relatively dry. I'm going to give it another coat. Could have just airbrushed it, but I feel like you get better coverage with this. And we're going to be doing some overpainting on it, so we want this stuff not to come off. And I'm going to go back and play, but we got to do some things. We got some errands that we need to run. I got to go buy ammo. What are you going to start? Daughter wants to go to the range tomorrow, and I have enough, but then I wouldn't have any. So nothing crazy, just a couple hundred rounds or something like that. I'm not like some people I know that have like 20,000 rounds or some absurdity. You'll be like, I collect paint. What do you do with it? Do you use it? No. I got to save the paint in case I need it. Like, well, if you never fucking use it, what's the point? Hoarder! You bloody hoarder! One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to. The outside of this is definitely going to be brown. I'm going to go ahead and just paint that. I mean, who we fooling? We know it's going to be that. We know it's going to be that color. And this is going to be very dark smoke. I mean, obviously we're not going to leave it black, but. Yeah. The thing I'm the least disciplined about is because I didn't have one of these before, and I'll rinse it, but I won't hang the brushes. Well, none of these brushes are priceless or anything like that. The really good ones, I actually rinse and I take them out. I pull them out of this thing like I used to do. I've only had this thing for like a year. And I'm trying to undo like 39 years of bad habits. So you know how that works. Exercise and futility. Wish I could put this light on that side, but we're up against the wall, literally. All right, let's get rid of this extra roughage. They have dwarf teams and blood bowls. Yeah, I suspect that they have elves. Do they have humans? I bet nobody plays humans. That's actually something that I would actually condone. It'd be okay not to play humans. Because, you know, if you just play Blood Bowl and with humans and Blood Bowl, it's like, let's watch freaking football. Do they have rules for that? What's that thing that you guys call, not a scrimmage, can never remember. The big pile up, the big dog pile at the beginning. Is there that in it? I don't know what it's called because I've never seen rugby. But I don't really watch sports, so. What do you guys call it? A scrum? A something. A something. As soon as somebody says it, I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. Sounds like it should be called that. We're having a scrum. You found Gaslands stuff and vehicles on Temu. Well, probably. It's probably been lifted. Temu is like the whorehouse of buying things, right? I've never ordered anything from Temu, and I ordered some stuff from AliExpress. Did not have a bad experience getting it. However, found out it was pirated stuff. But Temu, I personally am not going to do business with Temu. It's too, I could just see your identity and all your money stolen, and unless we go to war with China, there's no chance of getting it back. I'm like, yeah, I'm not playing those. I'm not playing that game. Okay, is this Iraqi sand? No, this is Lebeuf. You have elves, black orcs, and goblins. Would the black orcs be the Kiwi team? Black. What are their black somethings or another called? Looks like a feather. Oh, all blacks. Have like a little feather or something like that. Okay. Next color up is going to be U.S. Field Drab. Oh, here's the retired people mowing their lawn. Come on, man. You got all week to mow your lawn. Yeah, I probably got to bed after 1 last night. But I don't know how people do that. Getting up after 7 o'clock it's a horrible feeling. I feel like I've missed a third of my day. Aviation Squawk, welcome. You gave a homeless guy $2 yesterday at the gas station. When I went to leave, I rolled down the window to say, have a good one, and he screamed, fuck you. I asked for cigarettes, and all you could give me was $2. Well, when I used to smoke, cigarettes was $2. What are they now? 8? I mean, cigarettes could be like $17 and people would still buy cigarettes. I get it, they're addictive. You don't really realize it, but they are. Well, I had one guy that told me that I'm trying to think who it was. Was it somebody that told this story on this channel? Anyways, let's just call it I heard of someone. No, I think it was a real person that I met. And they told me that they saw some guy that was like homeless and he felt bad on him, so he gave him his lunch. Like he bought his lunch from home or something like that. So he gave him his lunch. And the guy was so pissed that he gave him a sandwich that he threw it in the freaking trees. And it's like that was like the last time he gave somebody something. Now, there's people that are crazy. I mean, they're down on their luck and they got substance abuse issues, but they're not right. Not all of them, but I would say, most of them probably. Orcs and blood bowlers, sweet looking. Oh. Are they wearing lingerie or something? There's probably somebody out there makes some lady orc with lingerie. They probably make a dude orc with lingerie. Not that I want to see that. Now the Purge movies make sense. So I finally saw the first Purge movie, which was on my list to see for a long time. I knew it wasn't going to be great, but I'm like, okay, let's see what this is all about, right? And I watched it, say 6 months ago. It might have been 8, within the last year. And other than realizing it wasted 2 hours of my time, that would have been it would have been a lot shorter movie if that guy hadn't opened the garage, right? All right, so we're going to weather this and it's going to look kind of rough. And we're not worried about the actual mines. Those will be individually painted. Welcome, man. This dude wanted to fight me. Throw all shit down and everything. Really? Yeah, they're not. They're not well. Anybody that says, fuck it, I don't give a shit if I live under a bridge, that person is not well. They don't need to be near my family. I feel like gas stations are a bad place to encounter people. Like, my daughter asked me to fill her gas tank up, and I gladly do it when I can. Or my wife, there's folks there that aren't well. What are we painting? We're painting little caltrops, and we're painting mines. Mines are very hard to see because there we go. That's not too bad. Watch 2, it's better yet. Any of the same actors, or is it just a total different Purge? So it's not like the Saw movies. They just go downhill, right? The first Saw movie is great. And then, the ending of the first Saw movie is great. I'm like, oh no, he didn't. But those kind of movies are dangerous because if the wrong person sees them, you got a problem. You just added ammo to something that doesn't need ammo. As I was talking about that, that's why, I think that's one of the reasons that movies have ratings. So, You've already decided to become either a productive member of society or a criminal. Well, it's probably not a good idea to watch it if you're a criminal, but anyways, you don't have, kids watching stuff like that and thinking, crazy stuff that's make believe is stuff you're allowed to do in a society. Purge 2 takes part on the streets, totally different people. Okay. I'll try to keep an eye. I kept an eye out for The Purge for probably 8 years till I saw it. Now, I could have just rented it, right, and paid for it, but I'm like, nah, I'll watch it. I like watching things for free because if it starts to suck, I don't have a problem walking away from it. Whereas if you rented it, I'm like, well, I paid for it. I got to see the rest of it. Purge 2. And then the third one is like the president or something like that. They got like a woman president or something. And then they have one that's like, that starts it back over. I think there's 4. I've only seen one. Now, one thing I do like about something like the Purge movies is like I do enjoy movies where laws are optional and you have to create your own morality. I like that. I mean, that's why I watched The Walking Dead. Well, I watched The Walking Dead because everybody was watching it. It's not for the zombies. It's just like, okay, there's no rules. How are we going to handle this? How are you going to handle things? Purge movies get better. That's like if that's true, and I'm not arguing with you because I haven't seen them, I'm taking your word for it. That would be the only series that's that way. Because movies, unlike video games, get worse. Exponentially so. Like, they're already dog shit by the time they make the second one. Where video games tend to get better. Tend to get better, as a general rule. The graphics are better. There's more places to go. It's more freeform, etc. The storyline might be shittier, but I forget the details. Like in the first movie, well, the only one I've seen, why were they hunting the guy down? Did he do something wrong, or he was homeless, or I don't remember. Yeah, I watched Walking Dead, but it wasn't for the zombies. I was talking about yesterday one that was actually pretty good that was for the zombies, and most zombie things suck. Okay, but one of them was actually pretty good. Was season 1? I have to say, season 1 of Black Summer. I thought that one was pretty. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool, especially the one part where they had to go. infiltrate this facility, this group, and they split up in different groups. They split up, I think, in like 4 groups, and then the camera followed each one. Like, okay, you're going to go in here and you go around and you knock on the door, at the same time that other guys are coming in through the back, and they filmed each little part and showed how things went awry. And that's a lot of work. I mean, that's why they don't make stuff like that. That's a lot of filming work. The second Black Summer was unwatchable. When you see the first version of something and you're like, man, this is great. I can't wait for them to come up with another one. And they come up with it. And instead of watching, 8 episodes, you can't even watch 2. It's gone complete dog shit. So we left in the middle of a battle, not really in the middle of a battle. I'd say we're 2/3 of the way through the battle. Goldie Glocks got taken out and blew up and didn't take anybody with her. Got several weapons with lasers. That's interesting. I've gotten 2 shots on some folks that involve multiple cars. So in other words, you want to aim at one guy and you get another car in the splash zone. That's what they call it, splash. I would have called splash something different. And it's funny because Mitch and I really like the game. And we're not so hung up on the physics of the game. Like, I know it's a hokey game. So as long as it's fun and well balanced for points and stuff like that, we're happy. And I think it is. They put a fair amount of thought into and play testing into the game, and it shows. I think that there's so many games out there that are just put together by somebody who wants to sell miniatures. And the playability of it is sometimes you wonder if it's like an afterthought, It's like, like somebody will design a game, they'll design some miniatures like, man, we got to sell the rules to sell these miniatures. And then they'll say, well, let's give the people this. And then if the game actually works great, the people that play it, or kind of the people that design it, might actually be a little surprised, like, oh, it's good. And I think there's a lot of games that are that way. A lot of games that are that way. That doesn't look bad. It's going to look better when we put the little caltrops on there. But this guy's not trying to sell any miniatures. So the only reason for him to like rush is like if he's in a rush. Or he's like, well, I got to hurry and work on another set of rules because he has at least a couple other set of rules that whatever this Hutchinson guy has. But we're pretty happy with it. We haven't felt the need to really change a whole lot of stuff. Yeah, and we're going to go up 1 level. I think I'll give it a second dusting of Iraqi sand. And it'll look pretty decent. It'll look decent enough. Well, did I lose? The chat box isn't working great on the phone. It's not showing everything. Nope. I haven't missed anything. Good. It's not my intention to miss stuff. I'd be like, oh, I'll let you guys talk, but I'm gonna ignore you. Well, that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. That's like, all right, we're gonna do a show where we cook, and then when we're done, we're gonna throw the food away. I'm like, no. But speaking of handing out money, I've never had a handing out money incident because I'm just not going to hand my money out. You're basically stealing from my girls. Um, but my wife had an incident where she felt sorry for somebody in a grocery store. They were like inside a grocery store. Were they inside of it? No, they were in a Home Depot. They were at a Home Depot, and there was a guy that basically said, "Hey, listen, I just need 20 bucks or whatever." And he had a business card for his lawn service in the next town over and said, "Hey, listen, I just need 20 bucks to, whatever." And she felt sorry for him, gave him the 20 bucks, didn't think anything of it. And he was not somebody that looked like they were homeless. And he had a business card. And then ran into the same guy in the produce section at the grocery store, pulling the same number on somebody else. And my wife did exactly what she should not have done. And I told her, don't do this again. She basically confronted him and said, "Don't give him any money." I ran into him, a couple of months ago when he was pulling this same shtick. Let me guess, he's got a tree cutting service and all this kind of stuff. And the guy just played it off like he didn't know what she was talking about. And at the end of the day, she had like buyer's remorse and ended up calling for a manager to escort her to her car. I said, "Man, don't do stuff like that. You're going to get yourself killed by a crazy person." You know? And then I got to go get revenge on someone, and I've never even met him. That doesn't work on me because I don't give people money. I was at when I was much younger. There's one guy that I used to go out with. "Hey, what do you mean by that?" "I mean, we used to go out to concerts. What do you think I mean by it?" Hey, this was in the early 2000s, man. That shit wasn't. No, this was not in the 21st century. Okay, that shit wasn't a thing back then. Anyways, I'm out with my buddy. We're going to a bar or a concert or something like that. Probably a bar where a band was playing. And this guy comes up to him, and he's a super calm dude. But he just like we're in downtown. He's like, "Get away from me! Get out!" I mean, like super loud, like probably like, "Man, this guy's on PCP. Man, I better get away from this guy. He's on PCP." Oh yeah, this looks good. Well, I don't know how to look on the table because it is going to be a little bit of an eyesore because my background color isn't like this. But for playing on the dirt surface, like the DBA matte dirt surface, this will look good. And of course, we haven't painted the little landmines yet either. North Korea outlawed being homeless. No, they made everybody homeless. Equality. All of you guys suck. You want to have a good laugh? Go on Google Earth. Not on Google Earth, but on Google Maps. I guess you could do it on Google Earth as well, but I say Google Earth and I never use Google Earth. Google Maps. Google Earth is very glitchy, or it can be, or it used to be. Go on Google Maps, head on over to North Korea, and on Google Maps, you can click on things and it'll give you like the review of what it has. Like if you go and say you want to check out this see, you look around, do a search for, say, a Chick-fil-A. Oh, there's one there. You can click on it and you see what people have given it rating wise, right? And comments and things like that. You can do the same thing with things in North Korea, except all the comments are bullshit. And some of them are like, some state park in North Korea. It was great, but there's too many landmines and my friend blew her foot off. Stuff like that. There's all kinds of like sarcastic shit on there. It's pretty funny. Some of it is pretty funny. They purge them. Yeah, there's guns in communist countries, but you got to shoot who they tell you. They passed open carry in Florida. Why am I looking at my watch? It's not a calendar, dumbass. 2 months ago. I've still not seen anybody open carrying. I didn't think I would, but you know, there's always someone that's like, I can. It's illegal to walk into a store naked. Well, I'm gonna do some of that. You know how some people are. I mean, cops open carry, and you know they drop guns all the time and they go off. So you know. All right. We're probably not going to give this the second coat of Iraqi sand until the little mines are painted. Then we'll go over it, tie it all in. All right, let's go around the edge of this. Now, a normal person, which I am not a normal person, what's that mean? Well, whatever you want it to mean, would start adding white to the smoke. But now I'm thinking, it's probably dusty from the terrain on here. Iraqi sand probably would be pretty decent to weather this with. So I think that's what I'm going to do, especially since I have it right here and I'm almost out of it. So let's just do a little bit of a dusting. Now, the bad thing about doing this is there's some pixelation on this, and it's going to make it really stand out. But be it as it may, I calls for a drink. I think it'll look good. No, I just fucking repaint it. It's not like it's, a work of art or anything. I'll at least add some of this, even if I come in and add, dirty white or something to it. I did sand this down a little bit. Because that way it's like, dusty. What's the next color up? Something like skeleton bone. So in Port Huron, the piece of shit city I work in, you can walk down the street and drink a can of beer now. Good. You should be able to. Not that I would. Savannah, Georgia, you could do that. It's awesome. I'll take a drink to go. Perfect. Make you feel like window shopping or something like that. It's called freedom, man. I love it. It always fits. Are those supposed to be cacti? No, but I can see why you would think that. They're caltrops. But speaking of cacti, there's a guy on Etsy that does sell cacti, and they look really cute. And I think that in the future, I probably will get some cacti. You have a shootout between Mexican lowriders and outlaws and other nefarious individuals in this world. All right, I'm going to rub this a little. Rougher. I don't need that much black showing. I just don't want it. This doesn't need to be a cloud of white smoke and not a cloud of black smoke, like something in between the two. Now, of course, I need to put my eyes in so I can see what the hell I'm doing. And we have a vehicle to compare it to. Let's get the wet willy out here, as I like to call it. Yeah, just something simple like that should be enough. And it's just hollow. The wet willy. Yeah. Let's just I think that's enough, honestly. Enough of that. All right. Mines or caltrops first? Let's do the caltrops first. Rinse this. Now, of course, the very first thing I'm going to do is we're going to paint all of it black. So that's what pops away from the surface. So let's try not to get this black all over us. This paint's actually pretty decent, but you got to be careful opening it. Right. This consistency of this particular craft paint, this folk art in this particular color, because they all vary. But the blacks and the whites the black and the white colors seem to be pretty dense on pigment for folk art. Almost reminds me of like if you were using Liquitex or something like that. Like a high quality or a higher quality paint out of a tube. There we go. So that's the one we want. So you can piece of shit city where you work in. Yeah, I know. Those old industrial ass cities. You never work weekends, do you? And good for you. People need to have 2 days off, at least. What is it in France? They complain about, they want to work like 35-hour weeks. Man, if only. Gaslands garbage truck. Already have one. White trash. Can't show it to you because it's over there it's hanging out there with a cantina at Mitch's house. We'll be back later today. Always the first color you put down always takes the longest. You don't work Fridays or weekends. What? You guys hiring? So it's TGI Friday for you. Yeah, like I've said before, TGI Friday was created by some bastard that worked 410s. No work on Fridays. No wonder you still work there. Why is everything at Mitch's house? It's Mitch's house. That's a good question. So when we first started playing DBA, we'd play here. But then he had a daughter, and then he had to babysit the daughter. So that kind of made sense. And it just kind of stayed that way. We could play here, but I don't really want a bunch of people trashing my house. It's all zen and shit. And I don't have a place for somebody to stay. We got some folks that are staying with us over the holidays. So that's why it's at Mitch's house. But we will eventually do, here's the thing. He's got like a shed in the back. And, it doesn't really interrupt it. If I can do it here, I'd do it I don't want to take up the whole kitchen. Although it would be awesome. I mean, my freaking island is, especially for Gaslands. But I wouldn't want to inconvenience the wife and stuff like that. Now, she's not here this weekend. But, yeah, why is it always at Mitch's house? That's why. I don't have to clean up after anybody either. But the lighting here is great. And the lighting at Mitch's house isn't bad. But his house in the back is just basically like a big shed. I haven't measured it, but it's like 10 by 20. And from what I understand, when he bought the house, it was some guy that was living there in the back. I don't know. I don't think it was a homeless guy. I think an older son or something like that. So there's no bathroom down there, but you know, and they didn't set the house on correctly. It's like it's like a mobile home that doesn't move, but it's shifting. So literally one corner, not the whole house tilts. I don't know how many degrees. It's probably not much, but you get in one place that definitely looks like it's capsizing. That's why it's at Mitch's house. Yeah, it's not like it's a beautiful place with dancing girls or something like that. Does Mitch have a YouTube channel? No, he's electronically challenged. He is not a technology person. What are we painting? We're painting caltrops for Gaslands. Caltrops is a fancy name for spikes. Spikes that you drop, and this is taking a lot longer than I would want to, but it'll look good in the end. And I don't think I'll ever need more than 4 of them, although you never know. But this is a lot quicker than painting the entire thing metal, rusting it, and then trying to get the dirt in between it. That would take even longer. The Hoffman, happy Saturday. Hey, man. But Justin, that is a good question. Nobody's actually asked that before, and that's a damn good question. Why is it always over there? I've actually had none of the guys come here yet. They don't even know where the fuck I live. I mean, you could find me, I guess, if you wanted to, but you can't come here without an invitation. The hell off my property, boy! You have to get through the neighbors. I got some nosy fucking neighbors. Maybe all neighbors are nosy. But I got some neighbors that are like, hey, what's going on there? Like, none of your fucking business. I'm not the one fucking doing drugs. It's probably you. Get the fuck off me. Retired people with nothing better to do. All right, that's one down. So the interesting thing about Gaslands, I didn't know this, I read this recently. There's basically 2 templates, the small template and a large template. And what I read was everything that's the large template stays on for the entire game. So in other words, if you drop smoke, that smoke will stay in that one spot the entire rest of the game. If you drop, let's see, what else is large template? Oil, glue, it all stays. The little ones stay until somebody encounters it and then it gets picked up. So if this is a minefield, as soon as it detonates, they're all gone. And then you remove it from play. So I'm like, all right, well, that's kind of easy to remember that it's that way. Making dots, turn your brush around, use tip. If you're well, I'm not making dots. No, I don't have naked. I don't have naked land next to it. No, these are actually 3-dimensional. I got patience for this. It's like, it's not like it's computer programming or something like that. And these will end up looking great. And you use them every time. And it's not like I got somewhere to be. I mean, I got to go to like two stores, two stores or three stores, three stores. I got to go to three stores. Two of them are already open. And then go to Mitch's. So, forgot to send you what you're working on. I don't know how I'll paint it, but I'll figure it out when I get it together. Yep. No, I don't have vacant land, Justin. This was a neighborhood that's relatively old. Is it relatively old? I don't know. Probably from the 90s. There's some houses here definitely from the early 90s. And this was the only property that wasn't built up. And this guy built this house 3 years ago. It was vacant. He built it. So this is like a house that's like 3 years old and a bunch of like older houses. But all the houses are in good shape. They're not like run down. Everybody mows their lawn, you know. Unlike the hippies, some of the hippies in Mitch's neighborhood. I'm just growing weeds. Okay. Yeah, you're growing weeds, all right. So everything's well maintained. But this is like the last house to get up, which is funny because the house I grew up with the most in the town where I used to live in, which I kind of live in the same town anyways, but the house that we lived in from like 83 until, I guess I only lived there 8 years because I moved out. But the house I grew up the most in was the same thing. The whole neighborhood was built from the 60s, and Dad designed and built that house in the 80s. So our house was 20 years newer than any other house in there. So you can't buy another piece of property because like that's the last one. And I don't know why they hadn't sold it. It wasn't like there was a sinkhole there or something. That's my trend. I show up at places as the last one. It's like, all right, well, all we gotta do is make sure nobody buys this property. Oh, motherfucker, what's this guy doing here? Oh, son of a bitch. But I didn't design this house. This was somebody else. But not that there's anything wrong with it. It's the only thing I dislike about this house. The only thing I dislike about the house is the property that it's on has no privacy and we can't build a fence. So when you sit on the back porch and look out, it's okay. But if you're in the if you're in the middle of the property looking towards the house, you feel like you're naked. You know, because the house doesn't block that much. There's enough airspace in between it. That's fine. It just means I have to all the stuff I do inappropriate. I have to do them inside the house. There is 2.2 acres down the street from me with a well and a covert and a covert. Okay. $17,000. That's a lot of fucking. I don't have that kind of money. And I don't have a problem with living, away from neighbors, right? But you see it all the time. These people that live in the middle of nowhere and they live right next to somebody else. They have less privacy than I do. I have a fair amount of privacy because the houses are on top of each other. They're on 1 acre houses, and like I come from a third of an acre, and a third of an acre, you got to say hi to your, if somebody else is outside, you got to like interact with them. You may not always want to do that, but it's awkward if you don't. Here, you can ignore them if you want to, I guess. You're not all up in each other's shit, but you get used to this. You're like, I don't want to go back to that. But these people will be on the side of some county road, 2-lane road, with traffic and trucks, and they're not any farther away from the highway than I am from the street, and somebody else is right next to them. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like you can't go, well, I like living in the country for privacy. Well, you don't have any there, you know. But the fact that you have not as much privacy is provides some measure of safety. We've got the patrol of the retired people that like to ask questions. Oh, I noticed there was a car in front of you. Whose is that? They don't have anything to do. And it's not confrontational or anything, but they're kind of like truck drivers. They don't have anything going around in their head, and they're just like, what can I get involved in? You can shit on the front lawn and no one would see me. We don't even have streetlights. Okay. I don't believe you. Send me a video. Pick, sir, it didn't happen. Shit, sir, it didn't happen. I don't give two shits. Well, you better. I'm not going to believe you. Michael, welcome. Okay, I'll do a video and walk around the street by you. When I post it, I'll let you know. Okay, that'll work. Make sure you don't talk in it. Hey, your channel, your rules. There is nothing wrong with that. I think it's creepy when people don't talk and they're wearing gloves. Like, are you like that guy are you a cleaner? There's a guy who does unboxing videos, not unboxing videos, but yeah, well, I guess, yeah, it is unboxing. He just doesn't take them out of the package of like Hot Wheels. And it's interesting. He's got some theme music going on, but he's got these, body cavity search gloves, or really they're mechanic gloves, right? Like mechanics now, they wear these, the thing surgical gloves, but they're black, which I think is probably a bad idea because if you do have grease on you, you're no way of telling that you have grease. But anyhow, he does all these unboxing videos, and I'm like, why are you wearing gloves, dude? Like, do you have like swastika tattoos on your fingers or something? I don't know. Like you're gonna recognize somebody by their I don't know. He doesn't do anything that he's not supposed to on his channel. It's not like he's, doing things that are illegal. He's just taking Hot Wheels out of a box, right? Like you're providing a service and you're not doing anything wrong with them. So I wonder if you like the Craftsman's videos. The Craftsman. I don't know. Oh, so Hoffman, I know you like 3D Bot Maker. He's still top of the tier, but check out Junkyard Joust. There's another guy in Wisconsin. I think he's in Wisconsin, and he does this thing called Junkyard Joust, and he does different events where they run into each other. It's worth. He's really creative with the names of some of his teams. Let's put it that way. But they actually are cars that crash into each other, so I wouldn't do that. Although I could do that and then fix them up, but I'm not going to do that. You know. Okay, we don't need that guy here. Junkyard Joust. Yeah, check it out. Yeah, he's his is pretty good. I still think some of the funniest stuff is 3D Bot Maker's Demolition Derby stuff. That the air horn start, but that's a lot of work. A lot of work. That's somebody that enjoys editing videos. I enjoy the final product. I like what happens and sharing it with you guys, but it's torturous that it takes as long as it does to get the video posted. I'd say filming, but the filming part isn't the hard part. Guy's in the wrong channel, man. like, I don't even want to be kissed by, one of my, any of the girls I've been fantasizing about since I was 15, No thanks. Dude, get a job, man. That's the new crank calls. Go on there and just post random shit. So we have a game that is 2/3 of the way done. We're going to finish that one and start another one. But we're basically showing Marty the ropes. Playing along with him. And I think, having the DBA games where I'm basically telling everybody that's playing what my plans are and why I'm making the decisions I'm doing has kind of really been kind of the way I prefer to do things. I like to play with other people, and it's competitive, but I like to help them out. Like, I don't know, that looks like I'd probably do one of these kind of things. Like, not giving them bad advice, but like just giving them advice because, so everybody can have a good time, especially if they're a new player. New players want to show up and like, man, let me go over to Mitch's house and get my ass beat. I mean, you got to have some fun, and knowing that you're not going to win is not really fun. So, like, oh, you're giving away your plans, whatever. And some people don't like that because then you're like playing by committee. But no, it's playing socially, man. And there's still going to be dice rolls. You're still going to attack each other when the time comes for it. And then you just don't take it personal, Like, oh, you're trying to do shit, Not that I really play with people that do stuff like that, but the important part is to partake in the interesting narrative. I think that's the important part. Like, there is stuff that's happening because of die rolls involved and choices made that have repercussions. And there's some really interesting, hilarious stuff that ensues. And just being a part of that, I think, is the part that I enjoy. And there he is, scared me off. I was like, this is not the kissing and spooning channel. I'll be right back. Let me go get myself let me get some tea. Just 1 second. Well, the daughter comes back tomorrow for the Thanksgiving. MS-45. You think the daughters can watch MS-45, or is it too adult? And Cable Guy. We'll try to see if we can find those. So I'm not going to watch TV by myself. So she hasn't been here in a couple weeks. So I try to do whatever it is she wants to do when she comes up. She wants to go to the range tomorrow. Put holes in cardboard. So try to make that happen. And she's my action movie buddy. The wife is awesome, but she sucks at that. Like, you can't count on her for that. Like, nope. You can just watch sitcoms with her. I could probably watch all the Hallmarks I care to, all the Hallmark movies I care to watch with her. She'd be willing to watch those with him. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't want to watch any of them. All right, it should be safe back there. Well, just those two. No, we haven't really talked about it. Just those two. Think she can handle MS-45? You're the one that recommended MS-45, I believe. She'll watch stuff like that, stuff like that. What did she watch with me the other day? Death Race. I know it's stupid, but we're doing Car Wars shit. She has no interest in gaming this kind of stuff. That's fine. There was a time when she was younger, we'd play Diablo and stuff together, but she's gotten out of that. One of the only games I get the wife to play is Diablo. Of course, we haven't played in a year, but unfortunately, I find that game so relaxing, even though you're killing hordes of monsters, that I fall asleep usually. She'd be like, Tony, you need to wake up. Wake up, they're killing you. Miss 45, okay. Yeah, it's not my normal, if I see something MS dot, I don't automatically go miss. Like, it's just weird for me to abbreviate things that are that short. It's like, why would you abbreviate June? Like, just throw in one extra fucking letter and you're done, right? July. You don't need to abbreviate July. It's only one freaking letter. It's not a big savings. MS-45 sounds like a government agency. Oh, you sent me something. All right. I don't want to fuck that up on the phone. Let's go here. Let's see what you're working on. Here and here. This so I can look at the screen. What am I looking at? What am I looking at? Is it sideways? I don't know what I'm looking at. I guess I need to look at the other picture. I don't mean to sound like it's not well done. I just don't know what. Oh, there it is. What am I looking at? Okay, let me zoom in. There we go. Oh, okay. Which one's that one? It looks like he's wearing pants. And it looks like it's probably about, oh crap, did I screw up the video? Oh, okay. Looks like it's probably 12 inches tall. Let's look at his face. Oh, he's got a beak. I don't know him. I've only seen a couple of those. I've only seen a couple of the movies. They just weren't on. I totally would have watched them as a kid. I mean, that's dinosaur-like. Rodan, okay. That made of resin. Looks like it's hollow. Maybe it's plastic. There's a lot of things that are like a kid's toy. I'm not saying that's a kid's toy, but there's a lot of what do I see here? I see some dinos. Something that looks to like you got a dino on there. I haven't given up on doing dinosaurs. I will eventually have a dinosaur game. Rodan, it's pretty big, like 12 inches. I don't know how I'll paint it. Make it look like Rodan. Yeah, it was sideways. That's why I couldn't make out what it was. And I don't recognize Rodan, you know? Um, yeah. I was thinking about going to that vintage store today. About need any more stuff. I think I'll wait until December. We'll do a video in there. I'll I'll go in and ask the guy, you mind if I do a video? I've gone in there a couple times. I want to. The place is super cool, and it's amazing how much stuff he has packed in there and how organized it is. It's like a store you walk in and you feel like, oh, everything has a place, not like just piles of shit and dust everywhere. It's called a Garage Kit in Japan. They're made by fans and allowed to sell them in small numbers. Huh. How many in the official Godzilla lore? How many other kaiju are there? Is it like 6 or is it like 42? And what is the backstory of Godzilla? Is it like he was like dormant in the nuke? He was woken up by the nuke, like, or he was just a regular sized little lizard, and all of a sudden he dropped 2 nukes on Japan. Like, oh no, we finna have a problem here. Now, I'm not going to drive my car this weekend. The starters, it's sounding different. It started up every time, but it just sounds different. I'd rather not break down when nobody's around to save me to come pick me up over the weekend. So we're just going to drive the wife's car. She doesn't need it anyways. You bet. I thought Rodan, Mothra, and Godzilla are the 3 everyone knows. I think the official number of Diamond Kaijus are the 20s or 30s. Yeah, I don't. Mecha Godzilla, right? I guess it's probably lame. Like, what did you think about Pacific Rim? Now, at the time, the one time I've seen it, I really liked it because the special effects were good. At least I remember them being. I don't know about let's drive the robot. All right, let's get a workout. I mean, that's what they should make video games like, right? If you want to play Borderlands, you got to get on a treadmill and like hustle, man. We'd all be like all buff and shit. Of course, you probably take psychological damage from playing a game like that. Just doing the actions in that Walking Dead game on the VR, man. I've failed some morale checks. I've failed some morale checks playing that game, and it's mostly due to jump scare stuff. Like you'll enter a level, like, all right, there's nothing fucking behind me, right? All right, so we'll go this way. Make sure nobody can get behind you. I don't mind encountering something, but like let it be in my field of view, like when I can see it coming, right? Because none of those guys necessarily move fast. But like game will cheat, like guys will appear behind you. Like there's no way you got there. Cheating game. PS2 had some cool mech versus kaiju games. I had one on the original Xbox. And I want to say it's called something like Godzilla Master of Monsters or something like that. But it was really small. It was like an arena that wasn't much bigger than a boxing arena. And you had 2 kaijus. And you had a city that had some destructible elements. And that's all I remember. Now back when you could, go rent games at a Blockbuster and try them out and kind of stuff. And let's just say I didn't buy that game. Because it didn't have much depth. It was all like, There's some games that come along that look really good. Like there's a Transformers game. I don't remember which one it is. I have it. And it's all cell animation. And it's all the old style Transformers from the 80s. And it looks freaking great. But it's very limited. It's like, you can go down the street and you can't go down the main streets kind of thing. It's like it's kind of like there's games that you can find things, but it's finding stuff like in Dynasty Warriors. Like if you played Dynasty Warriors, and I think you have, right? You can find a better weapon, but it's like it doesn't look any different, and it's just like an extra +5. So it's like you're given things, but you're not really given something that actually looks like a piece of armor that you put it on, and it makes you look significantly different. So that particular game, whatever that Transformers game was like that. Considering that those Dynasty Warriors games are a little flat from that standpoint. Flat meaning it doesn't have a whole lot of excitement. I've played a lot of them. I don't know. I think it was the music. I really like the music in a lot of them. Sounds like the old Pipeworks games. They weren't that great. Yeah. Never heard of the Pipeworks game. I'm not a PlayStation person. I'm sorry. I tried them both out, and I just liked the stuff that Xbox had to offer better. I like the PlayStation controller better, but I basically got it at a time where I didn't have a computer that could run things great. So I wanted to play computer games on something that didn't jam, basically. Nobody's made a Gotcha Man game, have they? I'd play the shit out of that. And I'm still probably going to make a team of them, I think, or at least inspired by the looks of them. As I like to say, it's the only anime I've found that I liked. My brother was really into watching way back in the day that French one. I think it's got to be a French-Japanese combination. That Mysterious Cities of Gold thing, that's like from 86, 85, 86, something like that. And I found that on YouTube you could watch them. And when my daughter was littler, we watched probably 20 episodes or something like that. And I wish, a lot of those from like the 80s, the art is so damn grainy, I have a hard time watching it. It's just very grainy looking, the look of it. I think the Super Nintendo had a Japanese Gotcha Man game. The Gaslands Gotcha team sounds super cool. Yeah, I've never watched the Japanese version of it. It was edited because it was too violent. Well, I'm into fucking violent. I'm a pacifist, but I like watching violent shit. I'd have to get another one of those 240Zs. Pink for Princess. I don't remember their names anymore. The big guy would have to be some kind of a van. Kiop would be some kind of little buggy little. Somebody told me, I think, that he cusses in Japanese. In the Japanese version, all he does is he's got like Tourette's or something like that. I don't know if that's true. That somebody told me. That'd be pretty funny, Gotta watch the hell out. That was the show I liked to watch in 1978, 1979. I loved that show as a kid. Loved that show. That and Johnny Quest. Although I haven't seen that many Johnny Quest episodes. Just wasn't on. Besides MS-45, y'all watching anything else? Did you watch Thunderbirds as a kid? No, I didn't even know about it. That's the one with the Muppets, the marionettes. No, it wasn't on. It wasn't on in the late '70s in the town that we lived in, and it wasn't on in the '80s here. You know, back then you kind of had to watch whatever the hell they offered it to you. If they didn't offer it to you, you didn't get to watch it. You know, my mornings would consist of on Sunday morning. You know, you're watching Lost in Space, whether you want to or not. That's like the only thing to watch. It's either that or the 700. Don't see people tripping over to watch that. Lost in Space and yeah, I remember those Hanna-Barbera cartoons were really popular. I can't say that I really like any of them. It's all the same thing, you know. It's like some weird creature and like 4 kids, right? Same thing. It doesn't matter whether it's Scooby-Doo, Captain Caveman, Shmoo, Jabberjaw, what else? Those are all the same fucking thing, basically, you know? Wow, I'm like rattled those things off like I've been practicing or whatever, you know, but it was all like, those are all the same thing. Never really cared for any of them. Don't really hate any of them, just don't really care for any of them. Uh, I much always I prefer the Bugs Bunny ones. The Bugs Bunny ones, you know, generally are most of them are excellent. Colliodes said hi. Why do you have 4085 behind your name? Was there not a Colliodes without a number? I mean, anytime I try to use a name and it's like, oh, well, that one's taken and it's got you can do the same thing with numbers. I'm like, no, thanks, I'll pass. Yeah, I never cared too much for those old cartoons, but I like Wacky Racers and the old Scooby Doo's. Wacky Racers, that's right. Laugh Olympics. Yeah, they were kind of tame. I thought the Bugs Bunny stuff was much better, much more, you know, funny. Except for the Roadrunner one. I never liked that one. It's the same bullshit over and over again. There must have been a big problem in the 40s and 50s with coyotes. It's like, you know, like we can't let those fuckers win. Where do you ever encounter coyotes? I'm like, it's not like it's a problem, you know? Although they're everywhere, but it's not like an animal that I don't even like. If coyotes went extinct, I don't know that I would notice, you know? Like, yeah, I don't see those damn coyotes around anymore, you know? All right. Whew, well, that took forever. It's all right. It's all good. Let's go ahead and do the black on the minds too. We're definitely doing some kind of like 2 shades of green or a green and a gray. So, so in other words, the bottom disc will be one color and the top disc will be something else. And it doesn't have to be significantly different. Different. I'm thinking of something like, is this field gray? No, this is gray green. Something like the German field gray and like a more green, you know, but just so they're a different color, so it doesn't look like I just threw it together. I don't like looking at things that are like, oh, we just kind of just threw that together. I guess the times I was watching as a kid, a lot more Tom and Jerry, but I remember some Bugs Bunny too. Yeah, Tom and Jerry was kind of forgotten. What was the all kinds of stuff like that. Tom and Jerry are really violent. It's cartoon violence. I mean, unless you're going to turn yourself into a cartoon, you know. People could disassociate violence in cartoons from real life back then, you know. All right, I'm going to paint this whole damn thing black. And that did not take long. I didn't think it was going to. And I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this today. You know, I'm just going to bring them over how they are. We'll finish them up later. You know, because I don't want to do this till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Mortal Kombat was the thing everyone liked to pin violence on when I was a kid. Yeah, I never really cared for fighting games. Like, just pull out a gun and shoot the guy. Like, oh yeah, 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 you know, the whole Indiana Jones thing. Like, just I ain't got time for that. See ya. The Equalizer. Is that where that fatality comes from? And it was finish him. Those side view fighting video games, like I think these are going to take a really long time to paint. With that said, I think they will look really damn good, but you got to give it, you know, like I got to do 2 shades on all the things, black line around the edge, clean it up. I think it'll, you know, make them pop. I think it'll look really, really good, but it's not going to happen like immediately. You know, and I'd rather use these like this in our game because it's not like we're going to film it or anything. Because we definitely need, I mean, we're using pieces of paper right now. And we got some cars that are dropping a whole bunch of shit on the ground. That's where 2D gets his fatality from. Fatality. I like that one where it goes into the freaking crowd. I love it when the crowd gets hit by a car. What are you talking about? Little make believe 1/64 scale fuckers. Make believe. There's like anything in games and video games that has what they call ragdoll physics. I'm a huge fan of it. That stuff is funny. I don't care whether it's Benny Hill, whether you're like cutting through guys and they're just that's funny. Ragdoll physics. Thoughts and comprehensive waivers is my brother's favorite. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that because it reminds you of what a litigious fucking society we live in. I do like when he calls back, hey Susan, can we anything that involves Susan is pretty damn funny. Yeah, he does a good job. He does a good job. It's a lot of work. Ariel does a lot, that's a lot of work. But he does that for a living. So I've read. It'd be like me painting things. Man, that's really detailed, painting faces on figures. That's what I do. I mean, it doesn't happen really quick, but it's relatively simple for me to do that. The video editing is probably the same thing for him. You know, I was watching somebody else do another video, and it was like a downhill slalom, kind of like 3D Bot Maker does as well. And I caught something in that video that I've never seen 3D Bot Maker do. And that is catch something on screen that you're not supposed to see. And it wasn't like it was nudity or anything like that, but there was like an arm of the person or something like that. And it was just for a moment. I'm like, never seen that in a 3D Bot Maker video. So, you know, he goes through, he's got his system pretty well. I do like anything that involves like the big air or the damn near barrel rolls or anything like that. I lost it when he meant something about the fish people. He was talking about the fish people. It's like, oh, there's fish people, all right. And he's like, you know, it's pretty funny. See, I wouldn't do something like that. I would just do it all off the cuff. And yeah, it wouldn't be as funny, but it'd be more real. The big air stuff is your favorite when they go around a corner and pass another. That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Where you got a car and it's drifting just a little bit. It's just slightly drifting. And somebody will come in and just without missing a beat, just passes them. Like effortlessly. It's amazing. It's really like, is there little people inside that car? I wish there was a way they could do it and for them not to going backwards and stuff like that, like passing people backwards. If they could get that out of it, I think it'd be perfect. I don't think that they can. You know, it's just the nature of the actual physics of the cars. But yeah, those drift passes are amazing. And there was one in this last one. They had this one spot on the back side. Well, not the back side because it's all the front side, but you go down the hill, you do a right-hander, you straighten up, there's a dip, and then it goes up. And that's a part where the cars like fly, okay? And there's one where a car almost did a barrel roll and landed. And that would have been amazing. That would have been truly amazing. But there's crazy stuff that happens that's really, really, you know, when the cars go, they stop. One stop and stick, you know. Yeah, I do like the big air stuff. I don't think that he's done something I didn't care for. But I think he can only have one track at a time because it's like his room. You know, like when somebody set up well, I don't know that people still do this anymore, but I remember like in the 70s, people they were really into like trains. They'd have a one room that was their train room, right? And they would have a layout that was, like if this was a train room, you could run one around the walls and then maybe have an island that comes in the middle, you know, and do that kind of stuff. And that's what you do in this room. Like you can't do anything else because the trains take up over all the actual physical space. And it's the same thing, except I'm pretty sure he's got it up against one wall. I'm not a subscriber, and I'm a subscriber, but I don't do the Patreon and behind the scenes. Like, okay, I don't need to, you know, I'm not into that shit. I'm glad if he wants to do that, but you know, I'm not paying real money. I just want to take Google's money. I don't want him to take my money. think the monster truck videos could use a little something more. What that is, I don't know. Monster truck videos. Monster truck. Have I seen any? I don't know. The demolition ones you think would be boring. I think they're the most entertaining ones. I think they're the most entertaining ones. His arena looks awesome. Monster Kaiju, or was it Monster Crashu or something like that? So we're going to go to the store today. We're going to look for Hot Wheels. I have no interest in buying any, unless there's something there that, I can't not take home with me for $1. Yeah, I got to. I'll have to be on the lookout for the monster thing. I don't have anybody here to watch them with. My daughter, thinks they're entertaining, but she can't watch them very much. My wife absolutely hates anything that involves the sport casting talking. I don't like anything sports casting talking, but that doesn't count. That's different. That's part of the entertainment. Whew, well, that took forever and a freaking day. Well, I'm definitely not going to stop. I mean, unless somehow I get disconnected before I get these 3 done, so we can at least use them with things on them. Now, stuff like this, like with the smoke. I'm going to do stuff like like let's run a line of darkness around the edge here to make it pop. So it stands out. Stay away from the line of darkness. Definitely usable. I'll have to check monster truck videos. Not that I'm interested in getting any, but I've looked at the prices of some of that track. That track is really expensive. Like, I went to Walmart, technically a cheap place, and I'm like, just straight sections are like $7 for 2 pieces. I'm like, that's a lot of fucking money. That's a lot of money. And he's got some painting skills because, the track doesn't come in, the dirt color, and it looks good. And it must be durable enough because he is running cars over it. And so you must have to do a good job priming it. Yeah, like I said, if he was in Florida, I probably would have reached out to him. I don't know if he's running those events where people submit cars to him anymore. He was doing that for a while. I'm like, well, that could be fun, right? But then I'm like, I'm not going to the post office and paying for shipping and then shipping to get it back. And I'm like, I don't need all that stuff. I can just, be entertained by other people's stuff. I saw a video where someone talks about tracks. Seems like there are online sellers who make their own too. Yeah. Oh no, there's got to be. I was watching something that said that the knockoff track that Walmart makes, whatever their brand is, of stuff is completely compatible with Hot Wheels. Well, it makes sense that it would be, But I never had any of that stuff as a kid. I mean, I had Hot Wheels. We all did. I might have had one of those play sets that kind of folds into like a suitcase, and then you take it apart and you play something else. Or maybe I'm thinking of micro machines. My brother had a lot of those little micro machines, little towns, and you could lock them into each other, and you could have like a car wash next to a bank, next to a drive-through place, or that kind of stuff. But I think Hot Wheels had like the little multi-level play. I may have had one of those, and I had die-cast cars. Everybody had die-cast cars. I always wanted as a kid one of those carpets that you have in the kids' room that had like streets drawn on it. It's like, oh, well, we need a carpet for the kids' room. Well, let's go give them one that has like streets and all two-dimensional or whatever. I would have wanted to have one of those. Never had one. That's why I'm bitter. No, I didn't have one of those things. There's some stuff that we had as kids that other people had that you just didn't have one. It wasn't like I want one of those and everybody has the same damn thing. It's like I always wanted what was that thing called? The Guns and Navarone playset. This big fucking mountain. It's like 36 inches tall or something like that. Doesn't look anything like anything in the movie. It's got freaking yellow guns and shit like that. But I wanted it because it was like freaking cool. And it's nothing like the movie because it came with like American tanks landing on. How the hell did Americans show up in this damn Guns and Navarone? Just stick their noses in this shit. That's a completely British operation. Had this kid, it was shaped like a car wheel, and you opened it up and you could put your Hot Wheels thing in it. Yeah, they still make it. They still make it. I have a one that I bought from the dollar store just to carry the first time I went over and played Gaslands with Mitch, and it's pretty much useless because it doesn't protect the vehicles at all. Like you need the paper towel tampon wrap up thing seems to work the best. And mainly because there's enough cushion in it and I'm not wrapping it tight. So if I have any guns or something, it's not like I'm putting stresses on them and then when they come off, they'll pop off. I mean, I think that even if I had to repair things, it wouldn't be too bad, but it's just nice that you don't have to sit there and, fix things that didn't make it kind of thing. You're better off spending your time creating new things than retrofitting and fixing the stuff in the back. Stuff that you've already made. You also have these cars that you race on a track, but you can only increase or decrease the speed. Oh, slot cars. And I didn't realize that there was a concept to it. There was a concept to the slot cars, and the concept is all you can do is this, and you basically, I think you're supposed to slow down for when it comes around a turn, and then speed up, and then slow down for the turn. Otherwise, they fly off the track. And that concept didn't work as a 7-year-old. You know, it was just like more power when you're like a 7-year-old, and like it didn't work. And someone gave me one as some kind of a present, and I've talked about it before. I don't know if it was made by Tyco or something like that. Actually, I looked it up and I found it. It was a Spider-Man. Had a Spider-Man car and it had a villain car, and literally it said villain on it. It's like a villain van, and I really liked it, and it worked for a little bit, and then it didn't work anymore. Spider-Man and villain slot car. I don't know what it is, a Tyco slot car set. I got this probably like 80, 81, something like that. Well, here's the cars from it. Matchbox Speed Track. Yeah, the cars themselves supposedly go for $50 freaking dollars. Yeah, here it is. Let's flip this around so I can see what I'm showing you. Okay. Yeah, it's a Spider-Man car, and a van literally is a villain. That's seen better days. Well, this guy's trying to sell it for freaking $50 or best offer. You know, I had that. Yeah, that's exactly the car. I remember that. It was like, which villain is it? The one named villain, you know? I had no concept as a kid. My brother and I would just go as fast as we could, and off would just crash off the track. Yeah, same thing. Hey, you're a normal person like me. Nobody told me. My dad never played with those things. And it's not like the track is so tight. It's not like the track goes on for like from here to the end of the driveway and comes back down where you got plenty of time to gauge the turn. It's like, so I mean, you would be doing this the whole time, you know? Something is good in concept, but not necessarily in practice. eBay sucks now. Yep. It's just people selling their stuff at some crazy price. You really have to check it multiple days for weeks to find a good deal. I, for years, don't buy anything without sniping it. And the reason why is I'm not trying to get a better deal. I don't want to find out that it's mine and then in the last 5 seconds it's not. I don't like the cart being pulled. I'd rather not even have it, you know? What's up, Scott Holt? We're painting caltrops. These are 3D painted. Let's see if I can get here this close enough. I think I can. These are 3D painted, 3D printed templates for Gaslands, and these have caltrops. We got a ways to go. They look, we're not going to use them like that. And minefields, they have little mines on them. They're slightly 3D. And a smoke here. I got an ongoing Gaslands game that we didn't finish last night because it was like freaking midnight. And I had to drive back on the highway. Nothing, not a long distance, but you need to be awake for that sort of thing. So we're going to go back and finish that today, and then probably do another battle. But we're breaking a person who has not played Gaslands before into it. An experienced gamer that has not played Gaslands before. So, you're working this morning and need some famous people to look up. Give me some of your favorite actors. My favorite actors. Well, I'm not an actor person, but let's see. Actors that I would watch in a movie because they are in it. And we talk about actors all the damn time. Actors that I like, and not because they're attractive. Okay, I'll give you that, because there's a lot of them that are like, I don't mind watching her for 2 hours, somebody like Robert Duvall, Kurt Russell. Who else? Famous actors. I don't know. I don't really watch that many movies. Did you ever see that movie? I think it's a French movie with Jean Reno. You know the what's his name? Not the Professional movie, but the guy that's in the Professional, and where he plays a mobster. I believe it's called 22 Bullets. Is it worth watching? I saw that one scene. I've talked about it before, where he's like a mobster. He's not exactly something you think about French and mobster, but there's mobsters everywhere. But he tries to get out of it, and they go and try to assassinate him. And the reason I talk about it is because he has a little dog, and they mow the dog down in the car. I mean, they don't really kill a dog in the movie. Nobody's promoting that, but that's like something they would never show on the American cinema. Like they that's like forbidden for them to show it. But it was like I saw that, I'm like, holy shit, that's pretty dramatic. But I never watched the rest of the movie. You know. Samuel L. Jackson, Denzel Washington. Yeah, 22 Bullets. Yeah. Robert Duvall, Kurt Russell are good. Um, yeah, 22 Bullets. Samuel L. Jackson. Denzel Washington, still only seen him in 3 movies. I like him. Oh, I think we're up to 4 because it was Gladiator 2. He didn't work in Gladiator 2 because he's just I think he's too likable. I think Denzel Washington is too likable. And maybe that was part of that character, but he's too likable. And you know that Peruvian guy, what's his name? Oh, I'm sorry, Chilean guy. Pedro Pascal. Pedro Pascal's problem, and I don't have a big problem with him, but I just feel like he's too stoic. Everything he does, he's just really stoic, and I I, I don't find that super exciting. Well, stoicism is the opposite of excitement, I guess. That's enough. Okay. You're training AI this morning, and I'm teaching it to crop images. Celeb images are easy to use since they're good. You're training AI. You're bringing in the downfall of us all. You're like remember those things that were doing that super, oh, these guys are creating some superconductor, and I don't know exactly what the hell it was. And because it's a science thing, I'm not like a science guy. Let's talk about maps, and then we can have a conversation. Maps in history. In Switzerland, they were creating some kind of super thing like, oh man, a fusion reactor. If that thing goes off, it's going to burn out the sun, or, kind of like a Y2K conspiracy type thing. Um, you're going to bring about the downfall of everybody else because of AI, or I'm using some of it, but I just use it basically to unclog my creativity, not to do things for me. Like there's Marty brought a whole bunch of these construction vehicles. Like, hey, maybe you can use these. And I'm like immediately like, I could see doing a construction team, and without missing a beat, I'm like, that's hard hat hooligans. So I'm like, all right, because they're not really familiar with Chat GPT. I pulled up Chat GPT. I'm like, okay, give me a name for a Gaslands team that would basically be construction workers. And it gave me a lot of suggestions that were good, but I didn't like them better than hard hat hooligans. But it might give me some key words like, okay, well, instead of using hooligans, I might use this instead. It just helps unclog. I don't see it taking over my entire freaking life. But like we used it like when we went to Spain, my wife would do stuff like, okay, we have a 12-day trip, plan an itinerary for, going to Spain, and we want to see these particular places and link them up. And it's something you can kind of compare it to and go, okay, that makes sense. I never thought about that. Okay, that kind of thing, you know. It pays $17 at good, and it's a good side hustle. The important thing is that it's something you enjoy. So if you can get paid to do something you enjoy and would do anyways for free, don't tell that to the people that are paying you. That's a good gig. Like if somebody paid me to do this, I enjoy doing it. Well, I'm getting paid. It's extremely little, but it keeps me doing this with you guys keeps me on track to get it done. Otherwise, I would not have done this. So it's allowing me to accomplish something, and it's providing some form of therapy, some kind of positive reinforcement. That's why I do it. I'm not doing it for the 30 cents. So same thing. If you're getting paid $17 an hour to do something that you're interested in would and might do anyways, that's a good deal, you know? That's a good deal. I was reading the Gaslands, we were looking something up, and it actually was one part where it said collision. It actually was a C missing. Collision. I'm like, oh, even a professional book has things that are missing. Thanks for helping AI masters take over the world. Helps that they can make any video look real. Well, it's not there yet. There's a lot of garbage out there with reels and stuff like that. You know, they got a whole bunch of these. Like they got, I guess there's some kind of like African preacher or something like that. And I mean, it's like literally like you tell it's in Africa or whatever. And they're going to heal people and, you know, snakes and stuff come out of people and just, you know, way over the top ridiculousness, you know, buildings falling down, you know, the whole bridges collapsing kind of thing. There's a lot of nonsense out there. You're reading the Jurassic Park novel, and I've noticed a ton of spelling errors. Ooh, have you read them before? Well, I've not read them. I've had them read to me, the two. And most people say, you know, this whole thing, oh, I like the book better. I like the book better than the movie. Well, I don't read things that they make movies of. I just don't. You know, they're not going to make a movie about, you know, the relief of the 11th Panzer Division, the 6th Panzer Division to Stalingrad. Like, they're not going to make a movie about that, right? They're not going to make a movie about, you know, the stuff that I like to read. So it's hard for me to make that comparison. However, I've seen all the Jurassic Park movies. And when I was painting the Stegosaur, have you seen the Stegosaur? Let's pull this. Hey, Steggy, where art thou, Steggy? When I was painting the Stegosaur, I'm like, well, I want to listen to something that is in theme. And this is just a plastic fucking toy. Oh, let's get some lighting on here. There we go. See if it doesn't flicker this time. The Stegosaur. I did what's that thing where you the mithril, you know, where you spray the whole thing black and then you spray white from the top, and I did a series of glazes and stuff with it to get that type of a finish on it. But this is just a fucking toy that's like cheap, made in China. You know, you can tell what color it was in here. It's like just a cheap ass toy, and they paint up really well. I mean, there's some decent details on them. You know, actually, like these little stripes here that came on the tail. That's not the color they really were. Well, it works for me. Who fucking knows? You need painted the eye on it and everything. But when I was working on this thing, I wanted to listen to something that was appropriate to what I was painting. So I listened to both of the Jurassic Park books on Audible, and I think I like the movies better. The books focused a whole lot more on the raptors than the movies do, and I think the movies concentrate too much on the raptors. Like, I don't give a fuck about raptors, right? I want to see dinosaur kaiju. I want to see big dinosaurs like fight each other and stuff like that. Not, you know, these smart. I don't care about dinosaurs that are human sized. You know, it's my first time reading it. I love it so much. I can't put it down. Halfway time, 100 pages yesterday. Wow. Yeah, it's interesting when you compare what similarities the movies had to the book and where the differences are. Um, I like Sam Neill, so I prefer the Sam Neill than the Sam Neill character in the book, whatever his name is. Can't remember what it is. John Smith, whatever his name is. I'm not going to spoil anything. It's certainly worth reading. It's certainly worth reading. And I think the second one's worth reading as well. Well, you're into dinosaurs, as I am. So, I'm a dinosaur junkie. That's the first thing I was really into as a kid is dinosaurs. And I think there's just two. I think there's just two books. And I've seen all the movies. I don't remember the second or the third one very well. Lots of people don't like the second one. It's kind of the second movie is kind of like well, they're kind of like the Indiana Jones movies. The first one's great, right? Not very many people like the Temple of Doom. Temple of Doom is the second Jurassic Park. Most people think the third one is better than the second one, just like Indiana Jones. I see a pattern here. As long as they got fights with dinosaurs, I'm in. The third one has the Spinosaurus. The Spinosaurus is the one that snaps the T Rex's neck. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, they're hokey. It's something to watch. Actually, the thing that bothered me the most about any of the Jurassic Park movies that I think about is that one part where Chris Pratt has all this, has these, has his herd of Blue and all of the raptors that kind of follow him around like a bunch of dogs, and he's riding a freaking moped with them, and he's just running with a pack. I'm like, just stop. I'm not 6 fucking years old anymore. That kind of Hollywood crap, over the top Marvel shit. That's that's what I don't like about movies. When you just do stuff like that, it's like, come on, really, come on. Now, seeing how I've come to the point that it's probably too difficult at the time with my current workload to play World War II stuff in the way that I'd like to play it. That was wordy. And I'm basically doing Gaslands. It's still the same scale. And it's working really well. And if I wanted to diversify and get into something else, I know I said Marvel. I have HeroClix. Now, Mitch and Luke and company, we played HeroClix probably 8 years ago. And that is a game that is not from a collector standpoint. I think at some point, I think I have some duplicates and I may repaint some hero figures. Now, I'm not into superheroes per se, but the concept of the game actually works pretty well. It is just too predictable who gets to go next. It's too like you move a guy, I move a guy, and you can pick any of your guys. Like that's too, if I remember correctly, like that's too hokey. And since now my mantra is basically, if it doesn't make sense, we're going to make our own. That's one of the things you get bored with a game. The quickest I find myself now is that if it's too predictable who's going to go next, or if it's like you don't have any important decisions to make, the game isn't very fun. So Gaslands works well because you don't have to roll dice, but you have a lot of choices, right? And we basically mixed it up like you don't know who's going to go next. So the game like got a lot better that way. A lot of things are just out of your control. And if we gave that same treatment to HeroClix, I think we could do something with that. So I'm not. There's probably going to be a return to HeroClix at some point. It might be 10 years from now, but and I've got enough of them to do stuff with. Um, so, anyways, but that game's weak point is it's just too predictable, and the rules are really atrociously written, in my opinion. The worst set of rules for miniatures that I have encountered is the rules that came with Pirates of the Spanish Main. Pirates of the Spanish Main was this game that came out right in the early 2000s, and they're basically like this card made of like thin sheet plastic, extremely pretty, and they all interlock, and you make these little ships that are they're three-dimensional, but they're also hollow in a way. Brilliant, brilliant design. They look great for what they are. The rules are hot garbage. There's no. It's a sailing ship game that's hokey. That's fine, but there's no wind in it, so that you don't have to go into the wind. It just there's a lot of hokiness to it. Definitely could use for some house rules. You know, but let's go back to this because if it's not spitting out new comments, I haven't seen any. Okay, no new comments. Perfect. All right. So there'll probably be a revisit to that at some point with our own spin on the rules. Not to sell them, just to play our own fucking games. You know, I want to deal with copyright and you can't do this and you can't. I don't want to charge shit. We just want to have fun, create an interesting narrative, have some good laughs. We got 2 more of these to do. The thing I dislike the most about dinosaurs is the names of them. These nerd burglars that come up with some of these names for these scientists, they might be really good at you know, algebra 2 and shit like that. They suck at advertising. They're absolutely horrible about naming stuff. Did you ever play that did you ever play the Jurassic Park game? It's I mean, they make a lot of them, but I'm talking about the one that's on mobiles. I know you do mobile games, Hoffman. Have you ever played that one? I played it for a while. Oh, like it's like a Pokemon game. No, I don't do Pokemon, but you can find I got it because dinosaurs are cool. Many of the dinosaurs are cool. It's like Pokemon, but with dinosaurs. So I wouldn't go actively hunting. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sitting here for lunch. Oh, there's one there. All right, let's try to get them or whatever, and then you can use them and battle other people with them. One of my girlfriends and I used to play that Jurassic Park mobile game, and then I got some of the dinosaurs are freaking cool. You know, I played it a while. I played it a while. Whatever the hell it was called. Work your way to the top ranks on a regular basis. Girl gamer, huh? Should have made some videos with her. Nothing inappropriate. Just saying you get a lot of views for that. You know, there's girls that have YouTube channels that do gaming related stuff, and they're not doing anything inappropriate on there or suggestive or anything like that. And they have, you know, then they're very successful. Then your brother-in-law was one of those Texas top Pokemon Go players here. I guess the people I know are hard on games. Well, as long as they're, you know, not super nerdy and bathe frequently. I'm not really a gamer though. I don't really like gamers. There's too many gamers that suck for me to just say I like gamers. I don't. I used to think like, man, how does some of these people like get a job, but somehow they're employed? Like people that are just, you know, socially like weird, like super weird. Super weird. Got a friend who doesn't bathe and doesn't work. I call him a modern day Diogenes. Sounds like you need a new friend. Well, you know, here's the reality is if we all don't work, none of us bathe, right? Here's the problem with not working. Oh, there's many problems. You won't have anything. And you have to see, and it isn't North Korea where nobody has anything either, and you can be complacent. So who wants to live in a society where everybody has like a car? I'm not saying a fancy car, but you have a car and you don't get one. You know, I assume that he's not like independently wealthy and, you know, and he's a Vanderbilt or something like that. And you know, he gets taken care of and doesn't have to work. I assume that he's just lives in filth or who knows, you know, whatever. I'm like, who the hell wants to live in a society where like everybody gets stuff except you? I'm not saying that materialism is everything, but like not being able to ever go out to eat, that's demoralizing. Like, well, not so much now because every place sucks now. The food sucks now. But I'm just saying, you know, you have to have something to look forward to. His brother takes care of him, and they both live in filth, but the brother makes really good money. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like being around people like that. That's just, it's depressing. And you're probably going to, and if I asked you, you'd probably tell me the guy's really intelligent, right? It's better to have more common sense and maybe not be so damn smart. Oh, he's got a genius IQ. I'd rather have more common sense. Taken care of by your brother. He has the potential to be really smart. Yeah, I don't know. It's guy's got mental issues or something like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to go to work, but you have to, and you better get used to it because you're going to be doing it your whole damn life. Well, most of your life. Right back. Let me get something to drink. And no, I'm not turning the camera off. I'm trying to get in the habit of doing that. It's not like I'm painting, you know, with no clothes on. That would be extremely weird. And hopefully extremely uncommon too for most people. Though you never know. A lot of my friends get messed up by that COVID crap. They either started drinking too much or don't leave anymore. The only thing that messed me up with COVID is that it really bothers me people that have COVID reactions like that. Like, I'm really intolerant of it. Like, if I had somebody that I knew that was like, and you may not, and you don't have to agree with me. We all have opinions, and there's reasons that you have opinions, and we all need to have them. It's not like but if I find out somebody that's like that, I'm like, I've just erased them from my life. Like, I don't want to interact with you. COVID is like the most annoying thing that's ever been created. I've joked before. It's like if I had a time machine, I'd go back in time, find out how old I'm going to be when I die, backdate it so I die before COVID happens. It's just I'm glad my dad didn't have to deal with it. It's like the biggest retardation ever that's ever fucking happened in my lifetime. I'm not saying it's fake. It's obviously real, some kind of super flu, right? But it I don't want to interact. I don't want to interact with people that are running around now with a fucking mask on. I don't. I want to see people. I can't hear people well. I look at people when I talk to them, and these people that are like, I'm fucking scared. I'm like, you're gonna have a tough fucking time, man. So like when COVID was happening, I'm like, it's time to renew our leases, and I go and like, there's no cars on the lot. I'm like, what are you guys just not going to fucking manufacture cars anymore? Like you need to, it like changed everything. Every store all of a sudden is like, well, we can't keep these high inventories. Well, we got to keep everything down. Like, oh well, this sucks. Well, that's just how things are. It's like it's just annoying as hell. And I'm like, I remember how things were, and I'm not going to put up with it. And I'm pretty vocal about it. Like I don't confront people. But I'm just like, fuck this shit. Or be like, somebody, well, that's just how things are now since COVID. I'm like. So that's how it's affected me is like, I'm like, I'm not dealing with this stupidity. And it might have been like at work, we didn't get a day off. Luckily, we didn't have to put anything in practice. I don't care about shots. I'm not an anti-shot person, but don't tell me, I don't want this to turn into a COVID show, but I'll take the shots for freedom, right? But don't shots and then you still have to mask up. Well, then fuck that, you know? Like even when before COVID, I'd see these videos in Asia where these people were covered up, and I'm like, I don't want to live in a society of like slaves, of impersonal, like it's like everybody's in freaking jail and shit like that. I don't need to be in people's business either. Like you need to have some space, but the only time I mask up now is at the airport. I got COVID once when I traveled to Japan. I'm still pissed off to this day. Ruined your trip. Oh, I bet. You know? Yeah, I bet. Um, if there's a sign that says I have to wear one, I can make a choice. I either wear one or I don't go in there. It's not like I'm not the guy that says, fuck this, I'm not gonna wear one. Nobody can make me wear one. Well, it's their rules, it's their house, right? If I don't like the rules, I just won't go there. I don't make a scene or something like that. But I probably would, as much as I like going on cruises, we'll probably never take another cruise that you have to do a pre-COVID check first because it's so damn stressful to like check yourself, you're good here, and then you go down there and you get a false positive, and it's literally like a nightmare because your rug gets pulled out from under you. Like we're not cruising, we're not doing that again. That almost happened to us, and it's way too much money and way too stressful to leave everything packaged and done at work and everything, only to find out that you can't have your vacation pulled at the last minute. It's like it's not worth it. We're not doing that again. I think there's just a lot of germs when you go to somewhere. Like when I went to Orlando to the show, I picked up something. And I don't think it's something that's going to kill me, but I picked up something at the show. I have this like lingering cough. Now, I've had it. It's come up in other previous years, even pre-COVID. So it's something allergic or something like that, right? It's not a big deal. You can see I'm not really coughing, but it does manifest itself from time to time. Why? I went to Orlando. There's a shitload of people in Orlando from all different countries that were not exposed to their germs that we're fighting. And even if you weren't, I mean, your body's constantly fighting stuff anyways. And I forgot to take emergency, which is usually what I do. I pre-emergency up. You got your defense system up, and you don't get it like a common cold. You know, the last time I forgot because I don't live in a extremely high populous area like San Antonio. I don't, and I don't have necessarily a bad defense system, but it's like you're exposed to things that you're not normal to, and I forgot to do that. Moving on from the C word stuff. I don't know if I'll ever do a cruise. Are they boring? Um, you either love cruises or you don't. It's the only vacation you can take that you really don't need a vacation from when you're done. I actually lose weight on them. I don't go there to eat, and do everything else. It's just, or even the drink, 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 drink. I like them. But if you're going in the Caribbean, every stop is kind of like the same stop. After going to Europe, I'm like, I don't know that I want to go on a cruise because it's not that they're boring, but it's just different. They're not any trouble. They're not, yeah, like I can feel something. I think there's some of those damn instructions. There's still some kind of, maybe we'll call it mold on those old kits that's just lingering. And I don't have any of them here, but maybe I'm just talking too much. Nothing bad. It's just like, why am I like a little bit? If I were ever at an Asian mart, look for a little glass bottle called C1000. Man, that stuff will protect you. I set foot in an Asian market one time, and I was like, oh, man, I don't belong here. I mean, it's just really odd. Like I wasn't afraid of anybody there, you know. I just like, what's this all about? It's probably the same place when you go into one of those Latin stores and somebody else walks in and you're like, one of these Americans, I don't know about these Spanish people, I'm like, I don't have a problem with there. It's just outside my tribe, I guess. Although I don't associate with some of those Latin type situations either. So, well, one of the places I have to go to today is Rural King. And I feel out of place at Rural King because Rural King is definitely a very Confederate feeling. But I heard we're gonna we're gonna check that out. But the first time I stepped into Rural King, it's like, holy shit! Did they fight the Civil War again and the South won this time? Like what the hell? Zinc tablets keep the cold away from me. Zinc. Isn't that what's in pennies? What if you lick a penny? Does that help? It gives you something else you don't have, and that eats the other germs. Zinc. I think of two things with zinc: pennies and those little cogs. The little cogs that you used to put in your contact lens case that would effervesce. They would effervesce. I don't know if that's a real word, but I am an inventor of sorts. It would effervesce and clean your contacts that were in the little case. It was like in this little cage. You'd put your two contacts in there, you put them in a little cage. You'd have this little cog that was on the bottom of it. You'd dip it in this solution that would effervesce and it would remove the proteins. Don't do that stuff. You don't make it. I mean, they probably still do, but Just drop them and renew, you know? If it gets a little too Confederate, it gets a little uncomfortable for me. Yeah, I don't get uncomfortable because I'm not scared of those people, but I'm just like, man, just I went to a flea market. The flea market I went to in Mount Dora, there was some Confederate people in there, and it was like, wow. And don't get me wrong, there's like, there's Yankee versions of Confederates that I don't feel at home with either. Like I said, I say all the time, I'm from the South. I'm proudly from the South, but I'm not Southern. You know, you'll never see me drive around in a truck with my arm dangling out of it. Nope. This town I live in is very country, but it's civilized because it's near somewhere that's civilized. There's some places in Florida that are definitely very Confederate. And I don't feel uncomfortable in those places. I feel like, really, you guys haven't done better than this? I mean, like it's like it's just sad. It's just sad looking. But then, when I go to the parts of the other town, there's this older houses where all the hippies live. And a lot of these houses are like, these guys have never mowed the lawn ever, because they're one with the weeds. And that's sad too, you know. And they're like on the polar opposite of the Confederates, but yet they're the same. Well, it's like fascists and communists. They're the opposites. Yeah, they're kind of close. If it's a circle, they're kind of on the same side. They're different. There's this guy I work with that we were talking about where we live, and he was talking about where his house is. So we looked it up on Google, and the first thing I noticed is, who's this guy that lives next to you? He's like, what do you mean? Well, if you look next to his house, there's like all this stuff on his property. His property is, I don't know, 10 acres, 20 acres, maybe even 30 acres. He's got a house, not this guy, the guy that lives next to him. He has this house that you can see from the map, and there's these clumps everywhere, equally spaced, almost like it's some kind of targeting thing, where it's like, okay, 50 meters this way, 50 meters that way, put something. 50 meters this way, almost like a grid. I'm like, what's going on over here? I said, oh, that's the junk guy. I don't remember what he called him. I'll just say junk guy because I don't remember what he called him. It's basically this hoarder that never throws anything away. He just puts it in a pile in his yard. And it's like literally like a tractor, a wheelbarrow, kids' toys, whatever in here. And then over here, there's maybe a hay bale and like a broken down car. And it's like, if you need to like clean that property up, it would take like forever. And it's just not like, okay, we have a junk pile over here. It's like spread all over his yard, almost like, if there was going to be a shootout, he could like hide. Maybe that's what he's planning on. He can hide behind different clumps and like, advance or retreat from the enemy, wherever they were. But it was like really awkward. I mean, there's some people that were like, man, I said, I wouldn't want to live next to that guy, man. That's somebody that's not well, you know. It's different, like, okay, you just collect stuff and you have a pile in the back. you know, and that's where it is. That still isn't cool, but whatever. This guy's got stuff strewn, and I mean strewn all over his yard. That guy doesn't have a job and doesn't bathe. Have you ever confronted him? Or you just like you just hopeless and it's like that's just I guess it's just God this guy's gonna be. Because like when I grew up, if you did something, especially of school age, if you did something that was like against the norm, you're gonna get bullied, whether it's right or wrong. Like you couldn't be a kid in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, and show up in school with socks that didn't match. Like they would, you're gonna wish you weren't born. So you would know better than to do something like that. You know, you're gonna wish your own mother had had an abortion. When by the time you go to school. And I just mean something simple like that. Whether it's right or wrong, I think you need some social pressure. Bullying is taking things too far. Just like I don't think there should be hazings and things like that. That's gulag type behavior. The guy is 37, and that's who is chosen to be. I'll try to get him to go out, but it got too annoying trying to baby a full-grown man. Yeah, I guess he's got nothing to lose. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I didn't bathe, well, that'd be personal. But, if you don't work, like you're never going to have a car, you're going to see other people with cars. You know, if you go anywhere, which maybe he doesn't go anywhere, you got to ride the bus. And there's people that are on the bus that I don't really want to associate with because they got issues or they're confrontational with you or they want to get into fights. And I've experienced all that stuff, luckily not in a long time. So I'm like, I don't want to take the fucking bus. It's not necessarily taking the bus, it's interacting with people that I don't want to interact with that are fucking crazy. It's got nothing to do with the color of their skin, it has to do with they're just lunatics or they're dangerous individuals or whatever. So it's like, okay, we have to have a job. So you don't have to make those hard choices. You go to Europe or maybe in other cities, you go to Europe, you can take public transportation because everybody on the bus isn't somebody that is one of those individuals. It's just a shame that's the way it is. And I took the bus many, many years, especially when I went to college, and I experienced that stuff firsthand. It's not, luckily none of it was violent, but it's like, I don't want to be, verbally molested by other people. So a 37-year-old was affected by COVID? Because I can see like kids that are like 10, 9. You got a 37-year-old guy that was, what, he was 30 when COVID happened. I mean, like, you should have. I don't know, man. I'm definitely not part of the doesn't bathe tribe. I mean, I got to shower every day, no matter what. You know, don't rewear fucking socks and stuff like that. I mean, come on, you can't do shit like that. Took the boss lot in college in Austin, saw someone get on with his pants drooping with his own crap. Yeah, you don't, I don't need to experience people like that, you know? It's not about not being around people that are humble or that aren't rich. It's just, there's some people out there that are, you don't need to be involved in. So this thing gets circulated on the internet a lot. Like, you can make a lot of money not going to college. You could be, a welding trade. You could be a welder or an AC technician or a mechanic or working in a construction crew or, be a crane operator and legitimate points, right? A bucket truck operator for a utility company, right? You can make a lot of money per hour. A plumber, fair point. And I'm not trying to knock any of those people, but I've been around construction people a long fucking time. And I can tell you that I would not want my daughter doing any of those trades. Not necessarily because of the trade, but because of the other people she would have to be that would be her coworkers. And they just don't, give you an example. You go by a construction crew and say there's a pretty girl. Those motherfuckers don't know enough to not do cat calls. Like, I don't want my daughter to be involved in that type of environment. And there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it's always going to be 100 years from now. It's still going to be the same way. It's like, oh, we've got this way of work shape, this workplace non environment. We got workplace train. You cannot train these. We'll call them thugs, for lack of a better word. That work in a lot of those fields. You're gonna expose your daughter to shit that you don't want her exposed to. You know. So yes, you can make a lot of money, but you're gonna have. I'm not saying everybody that's a white collar job, like your coworkers, are like saints or anything. There's dickheads in there too. But I'm just telling you, some of these guys that work in these manual trades don't have any manners. Some of those harder jobs also wreck your body. You're going to be in the sun the whole time, You're going to be hot all the time. I think being a car mechanic would be kind of cool. I mean, really, I think it would be kind of cool, but um, you're probably going to have to be rushed and you're going to be hot all the damn time. Ooh, your friend's brother also lost a finger working on an oil rig. So, but it's better than sitting at home and letting your brother take care of you. Okay, are we freaking done finally? All right, let's go back to the caltrops. We'll let these guys dry, which, they don't really need much drying at all. And let's get the metal out here. All right, we're going to get the metal that is the darkest one, which is, I believe, Iron Warriors. I believe that's what this thing is called. Iron Warriors. Enough about work. I'm not getting paid to talk about work. Okay. We're going to leave a little bit of black in between these things so that it stands out. I will say one thing about work, though. I can't fathom being defined by what you do for a living. I find it fathomless. That doesn't mean I don't want to do a good job. That doesn't mean I want to kick ass. But to be defined by what, in other words, like, let's say I had the money to retire. I can't imagine being somebody, I'm not going to retire because I'm going to be bored. Not this guy. I'm defined by what makes me no money. So is your 37-year-old friend that his brother takes care of him. My dad was not that way. My dad was a civil engineer, and that's what he enjoyed doing. He enjoyed doing other things too, but he seemed to enjoy working, and I don't. I don't, because it's not necessarily the work, but there's conditions you have to do it under, and and having to deal with other fake people's fucking problems and being a superhero and solving that shit too. So it's like, you know, uh, yeah. So influencer. Nah, I don't consider myself an influencer. Not at all. Not at all. I'm just artsy, and I'm sharing my passion for something that's therapeutic, and just making it through. I said make it through the weekend, but I don't have any problems making it through the weekend. I'm making it through the work week. But influencer is just like too Kardashian for me. Not that I've ever seen anything that those people did, but it's just like, although I had some people have said, "Oh, I got this because you suggested it." I'm not trying to do that. It's just entertainment you can participate in. Like I think we talk about movies and stuff, but I think it's a waste of time to watch things on TV when you can be doing stuff. Hopefully you're not watching me and you're doing stuff while I'm yammering. God, this takes forever. Well, what time is it? 10:30. At 11, so in half an hour, we're stopping no matter if I'm done or not. And we'll play with these as they look, and then we'll continue working on them, and because they're going to look stellar, but it's not going to happen overnight. Am I? Well, I guess I need to stop then. If I don't like being an influencer, I guess I better need to. I better need to. Oh boy, how it's my Confederate talking. I better need to. I better done need to. Um, Stop doing that. That's not my intention. I'm not interested in being famous. I'm doing this. You guys are helping me tremendously, keeping me on track. Maybe you'll see something that inspires you. Maybe you'll be entertained. Maybe you'll be disgusted. Hopefully that's not the case. I do wash frequently. But this forces me to stay on track. I would have stopped an hour ago. I don't know how long we went on here. 2 hours and 50, almost 3 hours. I would have stopped 2 hours ago easily. I wouldn't have gotten any of this done. You can see it takes time. It's not like it's going to be done in a moment. And this forces me to not leave you guys hanging. So if we have those shows where I get disconnected, I'm the first person disappointed. I don't want to do all this and then get disconnected. And sometimes the internet works fine, and sometimes it doesn't. It's out of my control with my limited electronic technology abilities. Well, it's not that I'm technology challenged. It's just they're always moving the football. Those damn nerds move the football all the time. Like, oh man, this channel's great. It's easy to use this stuff. What if we had this? What if you just leave it the fuck alone, dude? Like, go on a date, Damn nerd burglars. And yes, I'm going to have a nerd burglar team, and that's what they're going to be called. The damn nerd burglars. There's actually a guy who has a channel. I think it's a guy. The Nerd Burglar channel on YouTube. I should sue him. Except I don't believe in lawsuits, so maybe I should just challenge him to a duel. Well, I got to work on my sword fighting skills first. I've evolved too far from my ancestors. I'm no good at it. Just talking funny trash, that's all. No, but there's a guy, Nerd Burglar channel. Now, we are going to add some Tony's tones to these. I like these a lot because they're not prickly. Because these, even though they're not as tall, are pointy as hell. I mean, these literally like, they're pointy. And Mitch is just going to have to cool his jets. I'm going to show up and I'm like, oh, you didn't make any napalm? I didn't make any fucking napalm, right? Because I don't want it to look like shit. If I'm going to paint something, it's going to look good or I won't bother. If you're going to do something, do it right or don't do it. I think I'd be reading Jurassic Park right now if I wasn't for you. Uh-oh. It helps me get this tedious AI work done. The watching me gets the tedious AI done or reading Jurassic Park. Hopefully I'm helping you. I don't want to be a burden on anyone. Well, then kill yourself. Oh, okay. Bet's taking things a little too far. I used to like to listen to talk radio, but the problem is I don't give a shit about politics or sports. So what's left? Phil Hendry. And he gets tiresome after a while. So, I had to find something else. And the books are good. I need to cancel my Audible subscription. Well, I need to pick all my books and then cancel my Audible subscription because I'm just not listening to it much. Between having such a short drive to and from work and, I'm maxed out on credits. And I think it's a really good value, but, you can't be using everything all the time. Helping me, listening to you while I work and chatting definitely helps the time go faster. Yeah, well, thank you. I'm glad. I mean, this painting stuff is one of the few things I can do and quote unquote multitask. I am a terrible multitasker. However, I'm not a terrible multitasker. I just make mistakes. I'd like to be a perfectionist, and I'm working on it, but I'm failing all the time. Okay? As we all are. But if you say, "Oh, I'm a good multitasker," and you're doing two things at once, but you're making more mistakes than you like, then I would admit I'm not a good multitasker. Like I said, I want to do things correctly, or I'd rather just not do them. Because it's not satisfying. Especially if you end up creating more work for yourself. Like one of the things I really dislike is somebody trying to help you out by whatever it is that you're doing. Like, okay, I'll handle doing this, but then you have to go back and double check them. I'm like, fuck it, I'll just do it myself. Because by the time you double check them, it's like the whole idea is like, okay, you have this many tasks to do. Like, how about you take a certain percentage of them and then I don't have to worry about any of it. It's the constant worry and the little tinkering about different things. But if you have to go back and you're still involved in that said task, like, fuck it, I'll just do it myself. Because a lot of people will just like, they'll just, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, they're done. Not put any thought into it. And then you have to go back and fix their shit. Whereas, if I'm going to do shit wrong, I create more work for myself. Like, just slow down, do it right. Actually, look, they're looking pretty damn decent. And like I said, the only thing I didn't care for this guy that I got 3D printing from him is the pinchy thing, the grabber from that I'm going to use on Penny Pincher. Penny Pincher, that it will be another armored car. It was like an FDM print that's really grainy, really unspecific, meaning it's very crude. And you'd think like, oh man, woke up at 7, you got more sleep done. I got less because I went to bed a lot later. Oh, maybe I didn't get less. I don't like the idea of waking up and it's already bright out. I'm like, oh, shit, I missed out on a third of the day. And unfortunately, it's probably going to be another late night. All right, I got to use little boy's room. I'll be right back. That tea is making its effect. And now a refill of said tea. Do I drink tea or just black tea? Crystal light. None of the above. I would not drink sweet tea because sugar, I don't drink sugar. Which of course it basically means that when I do drink sugar, I get a fucking headache from it. So I don't eat super sweets. Mitch is the anti-Tony in what he, I mean, not I don't know how he has a tooth in his skull. That guy is sweet, 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 and more sweet. And I never have it. You know, I take all the poisons that pretend to be sweet. Like my coffee's black, cold and black. And the only thing I do when I do decide to get a Starbucks, instead of just having black coffee because they had to change their coffee due to all the fucking lawsuits. Well, that's what I think it is. And their coffee is horrendous now. It's still strong as hell, but it tastes bitter as hell. I have to put a little bit of sweet cream in it, just to make it passable. But I mean, it's stronger. I mean, Starbucks. I don't know. It's the undead coffee. You pour it on a graveyard, and the zombies would come out. You know, that's the only way I have it. You know, that's the only reason I have it is for, be quick. But I never put sweetener. I drink coffee black and cold. You know, if it's warm, I put ice in it. You know, I don't drink anything hot. So I don't drink regular Cokes. I drink Coke Zero. When I do drink Coke, I'm not having that much. I'm probably going to have too much today. That's one of my stops is to get Coke Zeros because all Mitch has is like beer. I'm like, I don't drink beer in game. Like it puts me to sleep. I needed a beer yesterday about 2 p.m. It worked. Not now. Not last night. Certainly not at night. When you get sleepy. You need to have your wits about you when you're driving. Well, maybe I won't stop at 11. Because at this point, it's like, all right, I want to see this done. Now, we should have a full session tomorrow. We're not gaming tomorrow. We're going to paint, and the daughter will come in, and then we'll do daughter stuff. That's the plan, anyways. If it didn't turn out that way, that's because it didn't go according to plan. All right, I'm going to let these guys dry a little bit. Let's see if we can... there's no way I'd get the landmines done. I'm not touching them. But there's a chance I can get the caltrops done. So let's get Tony's tones out here. Yeah, we'll pull strong tone out here as well. We may need it. Mid-brown, because these are rusty caltrops. Crop trops. Caltrops. Spikes. Light tone. Soft tone. Mid-brown. And we need one of these that has more operating space. Nope. No. One that hasn't been despoiled as much. I need to find a comparison. See, this is the Army Painter Quick Shade, and they've turned everything to what they call war paints. And some colors are obvious, but these three, it's not obvious what color replaces them. And I was in the store the other day, and I was like, let me buy replacements because I'm getting kind of low. And I scratched my head and couldn't figure out what it was. So before I even bought any, I'm like, I walked out of there and didn't buy any of them. I wonder why they formulate stuff. They go, oh, we got to keep it changed up. Maybe we'll get new customers. No, you're just going to piss off the old ones. You know, piss off the old customers. Never done this before. I'm just using 40 years of hopefully knowing what doesn't work badly. Knock it out of the park the first try we do it. We need to buy clear. We need to go buy some clear gloss. I obviously don't have any of this. Water-based for Yeho or war paints would probably work fine. Either one. And ammo. And what else? Some soda. I think that's it. And head back over to the game. Head back over to the game that we left set up. That's it, right? All right, well, while I'm waiting for that to dry, I do want to dry brush a tiny little bit of like a lighter color metal on top of it to catch some of it. Where is the... How does this look if I go around the bottom of it? I don't know if it's better. We'll leave it alone. No point in doing a lot of extra work. I'm like, I'm not sure it looks better. I'm like, okay, well, that answers my question. Don't do it. All right. Two tones. Where is the German field drab? Nope. Close, but no cigar. Nope. Although that might be the green I want to use. Let's use this Mission Models thing. Where's that Mission Models color I have? Joel gave me this. He didn't like the paint. This needs to be more green, more something. This Luftwaffe green. Let's try this. Let's paint one, see if we like it. Mission Models from California, Stan. Burbank. A little watery. I'm not going to shade it. Shit, this flows nicely without thinning it. I'm going to leave a little bit of black around it. I sensed that I was the wrong height. Start feeling it in my neck. And normally, if I'm the right height, I won't feel it at all. All right, so we've gone all the way around these things. Is this color different enough? I think so. Luftwaffe camouflage green. Definitely an underused color for me. Probably should make the top of them red, to be honest with you. The little center part, that sounds like it's about to be a fucking problem if you run over that thing. So I may put a little red dot on them. Somebody dropped some of these in the middle of the battle yesterday, and it was like, you'd think it was like a teleportation to another universe. Like everybody was like avoiding it like the plague. See how this looks. Doesn't look bad, but it's got to pop a little more. Got to pop a little more. There's hardly any difference in color. Yeah, I think this will do it. It's just going to take a while to do it. And that's fine, as long as it looks good at the end result. But this is where I'm going to cut out. So we need to get our stuff done for the day. I appreciate you guys coming by. As always, we'll be on tomorrow morning. Hopefully a little earlier start than we did today. But don't forget to like and subscribe if that's your sort of thing. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.